It's really about building and maintaining a relationship with your customer. Okay?
Yes.
So when we talk about customer service, you can't serve people well if you don't have a relationship with them. Customer service isn't just about putting out fires when something goes wrong. We need to think about it more broadly as deepening that relationship with the customer and taking the opportunity to have the company do that rather than just having the salesperson do that, because it makes you much less vulnerable, for one thing.
Well, that's a really good point, because if you're worried about the salesperson owning the relationship, and then they get an offer from another company, you don't want them taking the customers with them, because they own the relationship. You want the company to own the relationship. I think that we kind of all know that we want to have more of a relationship, but I'm not entirely sure that that's specific enough to know how to have the relationship. So how is it that companies are building those relationships now in a more modern and electronic environment?
Well, I think there are two key mechanisms. One is social media, and the other is email. Right?
Yes.
So you need to be having a conversation with your clients, and you need to think about it that way. And you need to think about the channels as just ways to have that conversation with them. And you have a conversation by meeting them where they are. Well, in distribution companies, the vast majority are on Facebook and they're on LinkedIn. And so they're not, for the most part, not out on Google Plus and Twitter and Instagram. So that makes it relatively simple. We know there are two channels, so we can have a conversation with them there, and we can have a conversation through email marketing. You know, regularly we're sending out email communication with helpful content that is about them, not about our company, but it's about our customer, and it's about what they care about, and it's showing them how to get the things done they care about doing.
So as we're having this conversation, I'm wondering what you're seeing when you're out in the accounts, when you're looking, you know, you're doing your work with various distributors. What do you think their general state is in having the ability to participate in this conversation?
That's a great question. They don't reject the premise. They understand that they need to be having this conversation, but the vast majority with whom we're working really aren't sure how to do that yet. What's stopping them is they're not sure what to talk about in that conversation with their customer. And so the biggest reason that businesses don't create content or start that email conversation is because they don't know what to create. So one of the things that we do for them is to find out what the top concerns of their customers are. And well, if you know what the top 5 things they want to hear about are, now it becomes very simple. Well, gosh, I can take those 5 topics and I can map them across Facebook and YouTube and my email conversation, and now I know what to do, and I know I can send out content that they care about, that's relevant to them, because I know where their heads are. I know what their concerns are. You know, and when we're talking about email or social media or any of that, I like to compare it to the old cartoons about the dog. And what the dog hears is wah, 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 Neely, the dog's name, wah, wah, wah. Your customers are the same way. Everything else is noise until you get to something they care about. And so it doesn't seem revolutionary to orient the editorial calendar and the nature of the content around what customers care about, but in fact it is, because most businesses aren't doing it.
My takeaway is that the world is changing, we can feel it. The reason it's changing is customers have better mechanisms for discussing and learning and getting discussions going or getting information on the things that matter to them. The best companies are part of that conversation because they've developed, you know, they have a Twitter account, they have a blog, they're using these different vehicles to get to where the customers are discussing the topics that are important to them. And then the most advanced companies are finding out what the customers are actually interested in terms of what they feel their risks are, their opportunities are, what they're being told when they go to the associations and then come back with a hot button item. They're finding out what those are, and then they're tailoring the content that they're producing to meet those needs.
Absolutely.
So I guess that's great. There's kind of a blueprint to be an advanced company that that is positioned better than the competition.
And it's really very simple. Find out what they want, map that across your channels, and there you go.
And that's the answer to the problem where the salespeople aren't able to get in the door to communicate with the customer anymore.